لله رب العالمين والعاقبة للمتقين والصلاة والسلام على رسوله وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. اللهم رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي. اللهم ربنا آتنا من لدنك رحمة وهيئ لنا من أمرنا رشدا. اللهم ربي يسر ولا تعسر وتمم بالخير. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم. After praising God Almighty and after asking God Almighty to shower His peace and blessings upon the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, and all the messengers and all the prophets that God sent to humankind, I would like to greet each and every one of you. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi barakatuhu. Greetings to all our viewers worldwide on Al Hikmah TV, on YouTube, on Facebook, and a special welcome to all our panelists on the right and on the left. It's a long list of them, and you will hear more of them, so I'm not going to call all the names so we'll have them introduce themselves. I know the topic of religion and politics. These are two very interesting topics. You can never get tired talking about religion and politics. They are always very interesting issues pertaining to religion and politics. So much so that there are a lot of people who believe that religion and politics should be separate because they're two very hot topics. You're too hot to be together. And some believe that they should go hand in hand. And that's what we're all about here today. To hear a little bit, to learn more, to get questions and answers from the audience. We're in a time, especially in America right now, with a lot of talk. Shut down the government, step down from politics. A big showdown in politics worldwide, especially on the news, Fox News, CNN, etc. So here is an opportunity for us to educate the world, and our panelists here, very educated people, and I will not want to butcher their career and their profession. What we're going to do, we're going to ask them directly to introduce themselves by beginning with your name, your profession, your career, your background, to say a few words. We want to give everyone that opportunity to do that as we get into this topic. So I would like to begin with Dr. Nasser on the right side there to please have the mic and introduce yourself with your background, your profession, your career. So brothers and sisters here in the auditorium worldwide can have a better understanding of our panelists and what they're about to hear today, with what kind of experience. Yes.
Peace be unto all of you. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa
Yes, I bear witness there's only one God, and Muhammad is his messenger to all of humanity. And as our moderator, I bear witness that all of the prophets have come from one God with the same one message. I have to say this. This young man here, the leader here, the master, I have known him over years. He's a great worker for humanity. He just happens to be a Muslim, but he's helping the whole of humanity here locally in his works throughout the world. It's important that I say that, for me.
Thank you very much.
You're quite welcome. Myself, I'm Nasser Ahmed. I am the Imam of Masjid Al-Ansar. It's the oldest masjid in the whole entire state of Florida. There was no masjid before that masjid. And myself, I'm an oral and maxillofacial surgeon. That's what I do in terms of personal involvement, business, profession, etc. But like my good brother here, my most enjoyable work is the work of propagating the deen. I get no more greater pleasure than to do that in this. So I'm happy to be here. He calls on me every now and then, and he says jump, and I say how high.
Thank you very much, Dr. Nasser. And now we have Brother Imtiaz.
As far as alaikum. My name is very popular, Imtiaz Muhammad. So I would like to introduce myself in three different categories. Number one, I'm a businessman, I'm a publisher, and I'm a politician. And I say today, first time I'm a politician because the state of Florida gave me that opportunity in last election, 2018, where I was doing my campaign and I used to say, I'm not a politician. And then when I ran officially for that district, 97, after running that district, I learned so much about politics that today I proudly say that I'm Florida American Muslim politician. And I will take my status of politics to the next level so people will remember what is the difference between a good politician and a bad politician. So this is my first opportunity to enter in the US politics as a politician. From now onward, you will see me most of the places. I will be saying proudly, my name is Imtiaz Muhammad and I'm a politician. That's my intro.
Thank you, thank you.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Jay Schwartz. I am a city commissioner in the second largest city in the state of Florida, the home of Darla Loon, Pembroke Pines, Florida. I'm humbled to be here today to support the community. My good friend Imtiaz and I have locked arm in arm in trying to make the public understand that you can do a lot of good work by being a good person. And I'm sure we'll get into, going to get into a few good things. I can tell you, I can warn the rest of the panelists. My good friend Judge Norm Hemming is at the end, and when he speaks, he's gonna kill the room. So it's good to see Norman. But I'm happy to be here today, and I'm looking forward to the questions of the panelists and also the public.
Assalamu alaikum, everybody. My name is Asif Malik. I am an IT professional. You guys might be thinking, what an IT professional doing here, right? In religion and politics. So I think as Shakespeare defined it very well, that there's a lot of questions about how religion and politics are related. And that is something that is interesting to me. As a part of my job, I find relationship between things as an IT professional. And no relationship is complete until you get to the highest relationship that we, the humanity, has with our Creator. And then comes that how we define religion, and then how we define politics and rest of the society. So this is all interesting to me. It's a journey for me. I'm glad to be here and looking forward to the discussion.
Thank you very much.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
My name is Yasmin Saib. I wear also, like everybody here on the panel, a lot of hats. But for the purposes of today's conversation, I'm a theologian. I have a PhD in Islamic law. I'm also an academic. I teach. And I run a few nonprofits, so I'm a philanthropist. And I'm an author. I have 6 published books. So, alhamdulillah, I try to be a useful contributor to my community. I'm quite active in the American Muslim community here in South Florida to the best of my abilities. And I hope to be a useful contributor to today's panel and be able to offer my insight mostly from a theological perspective, because that's where I see my strength. Thank you.
Beautiful. Thank you very much. And we start from the right there. Judge Norman. Alaikum assalam.
Right. It's good to see everyone. As you all know, as you may know, that today is the Sunday on which Christians throughout the world are celebrating their Christmas Sunday. But I'm here. I am an administrative law judge here in South Florida. But I'm not here in that capacity. I'm here in the capacity of being on the Pastors' Council for Cooper City Church of God. It's great to be here, and it's great to discuss this topic. I think it's a very timely topic. And it's good that I can be here because the government's closed. So it's okay for me to be here.
Oh,
Assalamu alaikum, everyone.
alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah.
Thank you, Maulana Sahib, Darul Uloom. I am truly humbled to be part of this London panelists here this morning. Brother, sister, you have seen me quite a bit in the community because I've been here for past 48 years. I came to South Florida in 1971 when there were only 52 boys, no women, Muslim women were seen around. Over the years, I have seen this community grow tremendously and have made its impact on America and the local communities. What I do, what is my passion is to serve humanity. You all have known me for 2005 earthquake relief disaster in Pakistan. That was the beginning. Today, Friends of Humanity International, Inc. is working in 9 countries and is also working in the local communities. We have dispersed $1.2 million since 2010 with an overhead of under 3%. We sincerely believe that not only do we build lives around us, we build our communities. You must vote. We cannot be on the sideline. Our children are reminding us that you no longer live in Pakistan, you live in the United States of America, and your vote matters. I look forward to the discussion. Thank you very much. Thank you for inviting Maulana Sahib.
Thank you very much.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
Alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Welcome everybody. Thank you Chef Ayad and the leadership of Al-Hikmat and the Darul Uloom Institute for convening this most important discussion. And I'll qualify it as an honest discussion because really religion and politics we have made believed that they are supposed to be divorced, that they're not supposed to coexist. And we will discuss this morning, hopefully, how that is not really true, not even in America. The very first act that elected officials do throughout the nation, throughout the states, throughout the counties, is in their swearing ceremony bringing their own religious scriptures and initiate the first act as elected officials by swearing on a Bible or on a Quran or under whatever religious traditions they have. So to think that our politics are divorced from religion is not accurate. And this is one of the things that hopefully we will discuss today.
Good. Thank you very much.
Assalamu alaikum, brothers and sisters. Shalom and good morning. My name is Azad Ali, born in Trinidad and Tobago, but at 16 I emigrated to England. I lived there for about 25 years. I love writing poetry as a kid, so I won a scholarship into one of the leading drama schools in England called the Guildhall School of Music and Drama. I became an actor and worked for television and the movie business in England. After that, my wife wasn't too happy with what I was doing. So I went into College University of London and I did a degree in business management, specializing in English law, majored in English law. I have a business, I went into business, logistics business, and I'm now retired, but like my mother taught me right, she said, you retire and send your wife to work, so she's working. She's running the business, and I'm retired. I'm the chairman here of Darul Uloom. We are here to discuss politics and religion, but to me, the activities are the same. The activities within politics is one of governance. The activities within religion is one of governance too, but we are answerable to a higher maker above, right? That's the difference between the two. But you'll find there are a bunch of similarities. You have Darul Uloom, you have a cricket club, and other clubs and organizations, they have rules and regulations and activities, and they are answerable to the chairman or the emir or the club captain. In religion, it's the same thing, but we are answerable to God, and that's the difference. So, thank you so much. Look forward to this discussion. I love politics. The last time I was in politics was in Trinidad. I was Central Committee Chairman for the governing party, called the ONR/NAR, and chairman of a constituency in that area. My wife didn't like it, so what happened? She left and went back to England. So I resigned and went back to England too. So that was the end of my political affiliation. And as a politician, I love politics. As a member of the Conservative Party in England, I supported Mrs. Thatcher. I canvassed for them. And in this country, I'm yet to choose a party, but I vote Democrat. Thank you so much. I look forward to the discussion.
Inshallah.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. I do apologize, I'm a little under the weather, so thank you so much, Sheikh Shafayat and Darul Uloom, for inviting us to this panel. And Sheikh Shafayat and Darul Uloom is doing a tremendous job with Interfaith, and it's a very important discussion that we are going to have today. And wherever you go, it's only two things always been discussed: either it's politics or religion. And of course, as Sheikh Shafayat said, that both are very hot topics, and sometimes it gets too hot that it's very difficult to just get away with the topic. But my name is Saima Faruqi, and I'm an IT technician. As Brother Asif said, that what is IT technician is doing here. So when I started my job, one thing came in my mind, that to break the stereotype that a woman can be an IT professional. So I was the first one ever hired in South Florida for Best Buy as a Geek Squad technician. That really gives me a sense of achievement that I have worked for that job for 13 years. And then last year, the last election in 2018, I ran as a first Muslim candidate in South Florida, like a hijabi Muslima, for state representative. That's again breaking a stereotype that Muslim women should be taking part in politics. So I am vice president of Coconut Creek Democratic Club. I'm the secretary of American Muslim Democratic Caucus of Florida, and I'm the vice president of American Civil Liberty Union Broward chapter. So those are the few hats that I wear, and I'm very happy to be here. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Give them all a round of applause. It's a pleasure to have them here. A very dynamic group of people. That's why I wanted the panelists themselves to introduce themselves with their background, their career, their profession. We have a very diverse group here, to be honest. We've got African American, and I want to let you know there's not just religious and political. We've got people from the African American background, Pakistani background, Indo-Pak, Arabian background, Trinidad background, Latino background, a very diverse bunch of panelists here besides their political and their educational background. So I think this is not going to be a biased conversation. It's going to be a lot of food for thought for our viewers worldwide. And that's one of the reasons why we try to do things on a talk show style, so not only locally people can benefit, but worldwide. And when things are edited, it goes online, it's on Facebook, it's on YouTube, and we are broadcasting live right now on Facebook, YouTube, and Al Hikmah TV. So I want to let them know, our viewers out there know that you can ask questions, you can send your questions on Facebook. Our Al Hikmah TV crew behind the wall there, they will send the questions to us in writing. I would appreciate that. You can also send your questions on the comments box on the Al Hikmah TV, or your questions, so we can make that known from here. But seeing that everyone have said who they are, I didn't say who I am. I'm just known as Sheikh Shafayat, and the other part that you don't know about me, and I'm not saying anything about myself except Sheikh Shafayat, that's what I'm known as. Everybody else knows me. What you don't know about me is I think like a Republican, but I got a heart of a Democrat. That's deep, huh? For you to think. we are in a political discussion. Got the brain of a Republican, but the heart of a Democrat. Because I believe that Republicans do a lot of deep thinking, but I also believe that Democrats got better hearts. And God has designed the human body, two major organs, the brain and the heart. So we're going to hear a lot about that today, because religion and politics, and before we open the floor, we're going to open the floor now for questions, and that's why I mentioned that people, viewers, can send your questions on Facebook and on Al Hikmat TV comments box. But before I do that, I want to say a special Jazakallah and thanks very much to all our panelists for taking the time off on a Sunday morning on this vacation period time to be here. It's really a blessing, and thank you all very much. You are definitely, your presence here today shows that you are community leaders. You can all go up for election, though. That's a good sign. That's point number one. I got to say a special thanks to all our sponsors of the brunch and the food this morning. A special thanks to all our donors and sponsors, to Al Hikmat TV. We got people who support Al Hikmat TV worldwide. So I'm sure you have tuned in and you will be listening to this. So we want to say a special thanks to our worldwide sponsors and donors to Al Hikmat TV who helps make this be broadcasted. This is a very costly project. You see a lot of cameras right around you. That takes a lot of work to direct. So I got to say a special thanks to Al Hikmat TV crew. I see Junior there, Afraz, Hamza, Niamat, Khizr, a very well-experienced crew, and they'll be doing a fantastic job. We produce television material for televisions, and God bless them and thank them also for taking the time to be here this Sunday morning to do this very technical service. All right? A special thanks to Salma and Faria, who have coordinated the brunch and coordinated the sponsors and the whole 9 yards. And I wanted to give justice to these people, you, the audience, who have taken the time, you audience who are here live, and the audience on YouTube, Facebook, and on Al Hikmat TV. Special thanks to you for taking the time to be here, to take the time to view us here. May God bless all of you and everyone for supporting this program this morning. And I want to let you know, be aware, it is going to be a very hot topic, but we should agree to disagree with each other. That's why two things people have warned each other not to talk about: religion and politics. And especially when you talk about it together. That could be very controversial. I want to also let the panelists know, that's why I'm the humble moderator, you can feel free to question each other. That will make it even a little more hot. A little more hardcore. Because each one of you got your own ideas, ideology, understanding of religion and politics. And sometimes I see on chat groups, that is one of the reasons why we thought of having this talk show. On chat groups, I see some people saying this group is only for politics, not religion. And I sort of get confused with that. I don't know if I want to agree with that or not agree with that. I like what Brother Wilfredo said, that there's nothing about separation here. Religion is a major part of American politics. And that's what I want to share to our viewers. And I sort of disagree with Muslims who do not believe that you cannot talk religion in a political environment, and especially in America. When America, an IRS, and the Constitution, and we got a judge here, we got a commissioner here who can correct me, but let's get the facts. When the founding fathers came together with the origin of America and the formation of the whole political thing, the separation of church and state did not mean that religion must be kicked out. It meant that politicians should not control religion. Politicians should not control religion. But politicians can go to religion for advice. Now, You cannot talk about politics in America and still have a dollar that says, "In God we trust." That's what it's all about. Money, politics, power. Now you have another situation, and I'm just throwing ideas out so the audience can ask questions in these areas. So you guys do some thinking. I'm sort of provoking the minds of our panelists and you, the audience. You have the best politician in America, presidents. When they win election, whether it's a Democrat or Republican, they go in the National Cathedral Church in their inauguration ceremony. Why is church part of their inauguration as a president? They should separate the church from presidency. When they speak, they talk about God bless America, whether it's Democrat or Republican. They speak about one nation under God in America. Now I have another question. Provoke your minds. If America does not accept religion in politics, then do you think it's going to be easy for an atheist to become the president of America? When a Jew tries to be president of America, you got a whole bunch of people saying, "Hey, he's Jewish, he's Jewish, he's Muslim, he's Muslim." Because they think it's a religious Christian mind country. It may not be constitutional, but that's what they think. And a lot of times voters vote based on how they think. Let's think. I want the politicians, the panelists here to think. You, the audience, feel free to ask your questions. So why do we say separation? Separation, yes. So in a church, the church should not be biased. The mosque should not be biased. The synagogue should not be biased to a Republican or a Democrat. Brother Azad can say he voted for the Democratic Party, but he cannot tell people to vote for Democrats. You cannot do that. That's where it comes about the separation here and there. You got an congregation that got both parties. So you want to keep it clean. You see the point? But it doesn't mean that religion is not significant. And I have been hearing this from a lot of politicians out there and a lot of Muslims out there who does not want to hear about God and religion when they talk politics. I think that is so sad. That is so unfair that you're in America, a country that is surrounded with God. The statistics of America is that over 90% of people in America believe in God. All the presidents, all the politicians speaks about God. We had the funeral of President George Bush recently. It was all about God and blessings. Why didn't they separate religion? And that's why we wanted to talk a little bit about religion. And I thought that Al Hikmah TV should do a program on this because a lot of people shy away from this topic. A lot of people, I know Brother Imtiaz runs a chat group, and there's a lot of critics. Why talk religion? In other chat groups here, and I don't want to call names for those who are not here, people criticize speaking about religion when you talk about politics. But here is sad thing, Sister Saima. You went up for election. Imtiaz, you went up for election. Why is it people say, the very same people who criticize God and religion in chat groups of politics, they criticize the Muslims for not voting them. So you don't want to talk about Islam, but you want the Muslim vote? Does that make sense? You don't want to talk Muslim talk, but you want the holy vote? It's called a holy vote, yeah? You want the devotees to vote for you, and you don't want to have the devotees as part of the operation? There is a misbalance here. We miss the point of politicians controlling religion as opposed to having religion as part of guidelines for politicians. If you look around in many lives of politicians, a lot of things that cause them to fall is when they take God away from their life. And if they keep straight on the path and do what they have to do, the correct policies that God expects man to design for leading mankind, and they live that right life, whether Christian, whether Jewish, whether Muslims, you always see them very successful. And when they take away God, they take away righteousness, down they go down. So that's one of the major reasons of us talking here. And we want to get your expertise, your questions and answers, your opinions. People out there can benefit from this discussion. So at this point in time, I want to leave the floor open. That's why I touched on a few points to do some brainstorming. And I'm very moderate, very liberal. As I said, in America, I think like a Republican. I do appreciate a lot of their values. I know Commissioner Jay may not like what I'm saying here, but that's why we have an interesting panel. But I got a heart of a Democrat because I know Democrats think for people and care for people. Republicans have a lot of good values for the betterment of the country. So we have a situation for the country and one for the people. Feel free. That's what politics and religion is all about. And I do agree that they should keep on separate paths because then you have a misbalance if one dictates the pace. So I do agree on that also. So floor is open. Panelists, you can ask each other. Let's get it on the road. Yes, Brother Asif. I know Brother Asif is a very critical guy, and that's one of the reasons why we wanted him here also on the panel.
No, Brother Sheikh Fayed has touched many critical topics, so that kind of excited me.
But that was the whole purpose of me saying those things. I wanted to provoke the minds of our audience.
And so especially the topics of heart and mind, how politicians use religion, but then also we want to separate religion from politics. And then the mix of why still we have the God in there while the separation of religion is there.
So they come to the church, ask the congregation for their vote. When they get into position, they say, you have nothing to do with me. I'm a politician. You stay out. No voice of opinion anymore.
But before we go into those nitty-gritties, who does what, right? I do want to see how I see religion and politics, right? I see that there is a fundamental divide, what Brother Shafayat said, the heart and mind. And our heart, or on one side, we know that we have. So on the one side, we know that our existence is very limited. And there is something out there that is beyond us. We know that we have a limited time. We know that everything around us does not really belong to us. We know that the people that we want to control and struggle to control in our life, right? In the longer run, it doesn't really matter. We won't even exist. Right? But then there is another side of the same human being. The same human being sees that the things around me, they are important. All those buildings and the more land that I want to have, the bigger house that's important to me, right? The better clothes that I want to wear, the bigger car that I have, it's all important, right? And at the same time, he also sees that the time he has, right, that's the shortest time he has, and he has to achieve a lot in that. So I see that there is a fundamental divide between the human beings itself, and that sometimes appears as the heart and mind or any other form. And that basically spreads in all forms of society down the line and creates that divide that is apparent in politics, that is apparent in religion itself, because sometimes religion has gone into politics and sided more towards the politics, rather the religion is supposed to be more towards exploring God. Right? So, and then it goes to society, and in some cases, you know, we politics inside our friendships and our homes, right? So I think that that fundamental divide is the one that spreads everywhere, and then it is apparent in most prominently in our political system that we cannot decide how we mix both religion and politics. We know we can't live without each, but we also don't know how to mix them. So that's the fundamental divide that we have, and obviously we will discuss more.
Beautiful. So thank you very much, Brother Asif, for your comments. And there was one other point that we want to provoke the minds, and we could talk about it here. So much this division of religion and politics exists around, that it has also penetrated in religious institutions, where you have a lot of mosques. I ain't talking about churches and synagogues. I know one thing, I'm criticizing others, but it do exist there also, based on some of my friends who are rabbis and priests. It also exists in mosques, where administrators in mosques believe that the religious leaders should not have no opinion in administrative matters, so they can corrupt it against the scripture. And that's why you have had a fall in many churches and mosques and places, because of the politics. Right, Brother Javid? You see this all over the world. So you have the administrators who think the religious leader, the priest, the rabbi, the sheikh is only for the pulpit to preach, the pulpit on the Friday, Saturday, Sunday. They could corrupt the whole place otherwise, because of that total separation. I'm not saying the administrators should not run what they should run, but then it should run within the religious guidelines if it is a religious organization. And that's what you see in many Islamic organizations, Christian organizations, Jewish organizations. They separate totally. And I don't know if Muslims have followed that, but you cannot allow that to happen. And that's what America is all about. It's a country that was started with a bunch of people who were seeking freedom of religion, freedom of speech, freedom in the path of God. So I see Sister Yasmin wants to make a comment.
I think it's always useful when we start a discussion about something to define it, so that we are so when we're mentioning a phrase, we have a common understanding of what it is. So the word politics comes from the Greek word politica, which basically means to make decisions and the process by which you govern the affairs of society. So if you go back to, as a Muslim theologian, my reference point is Islam. The modern, the traditional Arabian societies where the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ was sent to were pretty much always in a state of conflict and always in a state of war. They were highly tribal societies. And when the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ was sent to those societies, he was sent to uphold Islam. And what is Islam? It comes from the root word silm, salam, is to be an upholder and an advocate of peace. That was his job, that was his role, and that was his responsibility, to be a custodian of peace, to spread peace, to uphold peace, and to be a peacemaker. And as a politician, everything that he did was in that regard. And the process as a politician, the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, if we look at all of his actions, was to uphold justice and truth. Haqq and adala. Haqq is truth, and justice is adala. So because there was an incredible amount of injustice in that society, so his responsibility as a politician was to institute peace, which is salam, and to do it by virtue of justice and truth. Very simple. Sometimes we overcomplicate things. Now take it 1,400 years to our today. How do we translate that? I've often been approached by individuals who say, brother so-and-so or sister so-and-so are Muslim and they're running for office and you have to vote for them. I'm like, well, first tell me what their platform is, and then I'll decide if I want to vote for them or not. I'm not going to just vote for someone because they're Muslim, because maybe their platform does not advocate for the spread of peace through truth and justice, because that is my cardinal foundation. And honestly, as Muslims, and I can say this as a Muslim jurisprudence expert, our job is to support anyone, Muslim or not Muslim, Muslim or not Muslim, who advocates for the spread of peace through truth and through justice. And wherever we find it, and in whomever we see it, those are the individuals that we are ordained to support in our society. So I pray that, we can be, as Muslims, cause-oriented, as opposed to label-oriented. And if we stick to our greatest example as the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, and in fact, all of the other prophets who upholded peace through truth and justice, then hopefully we will have a much stronger position because people will see that and will want to support us even despite the fact that we're Muslim, because they're going to basically hold us to the same pedestal that they hold themselves to. So that's my opinion.
All right, thank you. So before we have, I see Wilfredo had his hand up here before we get to Commissioner. Feel free, the audience, while the panelists are giving their comments and suggestions, feel free to raise your hands. We're going to take your questions because we want to have that cross-section and that back and forth with the audience. So please raise your hands, and after that panelist gives his or her comments, we're going to take your questions. All right? And remember, the TV crew, please send us questions or write it down and send us for us from Facebook and Al Hikmah TV. So, Brother Wilfredo.
Thank you, Shafaya. I didn't introduce myself in the first round on purpose because I wanted to call your attention as to the importance of the matter being discussed, and that us, the panelists, were a secondary. It could be us 10, it could be other 10 people. But the important thing is that to bring to your attention and to your consideration how unfounded those claims by leaders of all the Abrahamic religions that I don't want to have studied, I'm more familiarized with, being Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, on carrying to their congregations the wrong message that to stay focused in religion, you need to stay apart from politics. And this is such a misguidance because the very prophets and messengers of God, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, who were sent to the sons of Israel, the house of Israel, bin Israel, Musa alayhi salam, Moses, as he's also known, Prophet Musa alayhi salam, Jesus, and Muhammad, peace be upon them all, were heavily invested in interacting with the injustices, like Sister Jasmine brought, of the state. So to try to divorce religion and the message of God from politics does not adjust to the very principles of Judaism, Christianity, and Islam that their main messengers and first messengers were heavily invested in denouncing the oppression, the injustice of the governments governing on their people, on their countries. So to ask our communities not to engage with politics because our nation goes to war, we need to give it a deeper thought than that. First of all, which nation have not been to war? Which Islamic nation in history have not been at war at some point in history? So does that mean that the people, the Muslims, cannot get involved in governments who at some point have been involved in war? So I am the communications director for a civil rights organization that is heavily invested into engaging this community into civic participation in politics, who's heavily invested in protecting our community from injustices, in getting invested in bringing to the table people like Commissioner Schwartz, who have paid a heavy price for approaching our community. Just for approaching and engaging our community, he has been accused of horrible things that he is not. Others in this table have experienced at some point that when you decide to work for the betterment of your community, the minute you're identified as a potential leader, needless to say, as a political runner-up like Brother Imtiaz, as Sister Saima has been, you need to embrace for the wave of attacks that are going to come from people whose only agenda, unfortunately, is to hate. To hate and to present an obstacle for people knowing their rights, for our people getting civically engaged, for our sisters to get a better education and better opportunities in our society, for our religions to be expressed freely. And it's now, not until recent history, that our community have made these baby steps into lobbying for what we think is right, for what we believe is just. These have been identified by other communities historically earlier, and they have been engaged, actively engaged, in protecting the agendas and the beliefs of their own particular religions into the political arena. For example, if there are religious communities that oppose abortion, they invest millions of dollars and tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands, or they mobilize hundreds of thousands of followers to lobby for their religious beliefs because they think that is morally incorrect. And this country allows for the space for people to lobby for their religious beliefs freely. Since its inception, this country has allowed people to lobby to the politicians and aspire to influence the politics and the governments of this nation because of their religious beliefs. But when Muslims bring their religious belief to the table, and we say that we're going to advocate to the politicians so we protect our religious beliefs, we get accused that we want to overthrow the government, that we want to impose Sharia law, and a lot of nonsense. Most of the time when you approach anybody who's talking about Sharia law and you ask them what is Sharia law, they don't know how to explain it. And that's a basic test. When you hear anybody in the street saying, hey, Sharia, you tell me, what is Sharia for you? That you're telling me if I'm for or against Sharia. First, explain me yourself. What is Sharia for you? Because you're advocating that that's a danger for the community. You're advocating that it's incompatible with our political system. And the more you get to know and the more you learn about the beauty and perfection of Sharia, the more you will learn how compatible it is with the American political system. I'm just going to quote you one example. The freedom of religion we live here in America, not even in Muslim countries. In most of the Muslim countries, we can exercise. So America is an example of freedom of religion, but it's on a constant historical check. When Sheikh Shafayat says, I'm a Republican, but my heart a Democrat, is of whatever proposals those parties are presenting on however proposals they're presenting to society, and also how they have transformed during history to carry some ideals or not. Not that long ago, our community was deeply committed with the more conservatives of the conservative parties in America. Heavily engaged and committed with the Republican vote and the Republican agenda. But it was the Republican Party who abandoned your agenda, what you wanted them to represent to you. And obviously our community will always try to follow those politicians of whatever party, because history has proven us that we're not loyal to any party. And that is very good. That empowers us as a community, because we're loyal to those that are going to represent and protect our values and our freedom of religion. So it is a call for our community to recognize and never abandon the importance of political engagement and how fully compatible it is. How fully compatible it is with the teachings of our deen. Alhamdulillah.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Sheikhs, give him a round of applause. That's a very powerful statement. And really and truly, when you go back into the time of Moses and Jesus and the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, Solomon, David, peace be upon them all, they were people who used the scriptures to make the decision or political decisions for the country, for the church and the country. And that's where the Jewish and Christian background come from. So really and truly, he made a good point. Unfortunately, our Jewish friends and Christian friends propagate separation of religion and politics, which goes against the teachings of Moses and Jesus, peace be upon him. And those are prophets we believe in. So we take it. I'm going to have to take the commission first, Judge, the commissioner, and then we're going to go because he had his hands up. Again, as I said to the audience, please, as soon as one of you raise your hands, don't be shy. We're letting the panelists talk. We want you to feel free to question them or come up with some question that can provoke their minds. Let the topic roll as we are here to talk about religion and politics, which are two very interesting topics. Go again, Commissioner J. Swartz.
Thank you, Sheikh. For those in the audience, because TV viewers can only see one camera at a time, but you see how the panel's starting to react, like they want to grab the microphone. I'm next.
Yeah.
You notice that in itself is a power struggle. You think about that, right? It's a microcosm of the problems that we have going on. So, being, I think, the only Jewish panelist up here, I'm not going to proclaim to be anywhere close to a rabbi, nor am I going to be anywhere close to a politician. I'm just going to tell you just a little bit.
You're going to just be Jesus.
I'm just going to.
Peace be upon him. A Jewish Jesus.
I'm just
teachings, huh?
Sheikh, you're going to get me in trouble. I'm just going to give you an idea of our founding fathers here in America. The Quakers pilgrimaged to avoid religious persecution. The British chose to make this country a colony to reap crops and to enslave people. That's how our country got started. There were some very smart, profoundly religious, those who were Masons, crafted a document like no other, the Declaration of Independence. A general of the Continental Army became the nation's first president, and he refused to serve more than 2 terms because he did not want to be a king. He also warned America that there should never be political parties. By creating political parties, it would create political divide, and thus ripping at the fabric of the nation that he built. And that was George Washington. There was a Republican president who ended slavery, Abraham Lincoln. The Democratic Party started the Civil War to protect slavery. In order to understand the evolution of political parties, one must understand the evolution of generations. And we have to learn from that. There are believers and non-believers in the world, and we have to embrace them equally. We also have to understand that the book of God is also a story to reflect back onto how one needs to conduct themselves. We're not a global society of do what you want. There are rules that you should live by, and again, it's a suggestion, and if you don't follow it, those believers say, well, this is what's going to happen if you don't. But none of us can prove any of it to be true, because we can't be here on earth in order to know what the final answer is. And that's as far as I'm going to go religiously because, like I said, Judge Norman's going to school me on it. Now, from a political standpoint, I'm pretty direct. I think the word that needs to be used is pandering. Politicians pander. They see an opportunity to get a vote, and they seize on it. And that's why you usually only see them on election time. They'll come knocking at your house of worship door. Please welcome me in so I can convince your parishioners to vote for me. Versus being called a threat to national security like myself, for embracing the community for what it is, diverse, loving, and stands on equal justice for all. So my position as a local elected official is nonpartisan, meaning that we do not run as a major party. And as such, it makes it really easy. Okay, I don't know the difference if you're a Democrat or Republican. If your garbage isn't picked up, you need to call City Hall. That's just how it works. Okay?
And you serve both everyone.
I don't, if you're a Muslim, Jewish, or a Christian, if you got to call 911, the police are going to show up. That's how it's supposed to work. Okay, that's your government in action. I will tell you that in every religion, there is good and there is evil. And your religious leaders will tell you who the evil ones are. Okay? In houses of worship, there are those who take advantage of their parishioners for money or for other things because we're an imperfect society. We're imperfect, and that's why we need to follow God. Now, with respect to what the first thing you do if you put your hand on a Bible or a Quran to be sworn in. Separation of church and state has to do with religious persecution, not cultural divide. And so, if you think about the greatest country on earth, the United States of America, it doesn't matter where you came from. If you prescribe to the culture of being an American, you're welcomed. And you can become a citizen and be an asset to your community. So, politics formed this country. Politics will always define our country. The one thing you have to consider is the following. There's not one right answer. Because as a human being, God's the one who has the answers. We are here to learn from each other's mistakes, to follow the path of the good ones, to avoid the bad ones. I mean, I think that's what we're supposed to do. I have a saying. Yesterday is gone, tomorrow's not here yet, so I have to do the best today and right now. And if we conduct ourselves accordingly, that's good. Now, with respect to shaping culture, I think we're all in agreement that slavery is a bad thing. Okay? But it took 150 years to realize that there are still some, even after the wars ended, that they still want to take advantage of folks. You can enslave people just not by chains, but by money, by housing, by opportunity, by refusing them to give the opportunity to even vote, or to call a local elected official a threat to national security because he hugged Sheikh Safayette. Now, if that's where we are as a nation, we have a lot more work to do. See, in America, unlike any other country on earth, was founded on three words: we the people. And if we the people aren't all the people, then we just haven't gotten it right yet. Okay? I will say this, that with respect to, and I know the two third rails, religion and politics, you cannot separate the two because that's what defines us. It's the perversion of both that creates the most challenges, Sheikh.
Definitely.
It's the evilness, those who try to take advantage of religion or those who try to take advantage of politics. That's where the fight is, not amongst each other. So I just want to say this, as being a part of I think the longest running enslaved people on earth, the Jews, I think I can say, I can touch on slavery just a little bit here. Okay, in America, slavery was the foundation of this country. When the Irish came to the came in through New York Harbor, it was hate against the Irish. It was hate against the Italians. It was hate against anyone who did not assimilate or look like. We move forward into the 1960s. You're black? It's nothing but hate. Nothing but segregation. Move forward to the 1990s, early 2000s, it became Muslims. You see, what I'm talking about is generations of 15, 20, 25 years of going after a specific group for a specific purpose. Now we have a guy sitting up in Washington who's trying to block the brown people from invading our country due to seeking asylum for the same reason why we have the Statue of Liberty. Fear. Fear in religion and fear in politics is fear for all. And when you start fearing something, you're less likely to understand it. You're less likely to question it. Because the closer you get to fear, can you actually be hurt yourself? Well, I think we're all here for the same reason.
Oh, that's why we're all here.
We're all here, right? We don't fear having the conversation, Sheikh.
Definitely not.
Okay, and from my family to yours, I wish you a happy and healthy holiday season, and more importantly, a prosperous and a happy new year across the world.
All right, thank you. So give him a round of applause. Wonderful from Commissioner of Pembroke Pines, Commissioner Jay Schwartz. And from a Jewish point of view, you know, Jesus, peace be upon him, has been a beautiful example in what you were talking about, that balance, where it's the people who misuse the religion, the power ego people. In Judaism, when Jesus, peace be upon him, started in the rule, it was the high priests and the people who had ego problem. It wasn't the fault of the Torah. It wasn't any fault of Judaism. It was the high priest, power-hungry people who had a problem with the preachings and the teachings. And it's not that Jesus was preaching and teaching anything against Moses, peace be upon him. I mean, very important to understand that. He was teaching exactly what Musa and the Jewish scripture had. But was those who had a power problem, they handed him over to the politicians, the leaders who are like the political leaders of today. And they had their own agenda. You see what happens? Because they had a problem with the leadership and the dynamism that Prophet Jesus, peace be upon him, was having. So they all used their own ego to abuse the system. And that's a beautiful international world lesson. People got to understand that whole concept of how they tried to crucify Jesus, peace be upon him, and why they did it. It was all about politics, religion, leadership, and power. And they got rid of a man like Jesus, peace be upon him. So before you respond, I know the judge had his hand up. Everybody's going to get a chance. But we have two questions that came on Facebook here. Two very interesting questions. And we would just take a minute for the questions while I'm giving a little more time for everyone to give their opinion and your comments. I know you came here and we want to hear from you. You're all experts in your own field, law, politics, education, etc. We got two interesting questions, Brother Azana. You vote for Democrats, eh? So we have a question here. Why is it that Democrats, this is a question on Facebook, why is it that Democrats wants all the Muslims votes but has not done anything yet for Muslims in America? And one of you made a nice point. Before election, midterm election, general election, you see a lot of interfaith activities. Oh, Muslim local organizations, politicians in all these interfaith programs. As elections went down, interfaith programs went down. All activities disappeared. I don't know if they were attending these programs so they could be present and get voted, but I'm going to come to the questions here. Keep me out. I'm only the moderator. Got it. Commissioner, Republican brain, Democrat heart, okay? Next question, Brother Azad. I'll take the two questions one time. We'll have somebody. And please, we're going to answer questions in just about a minute. Please. We don't need all 10 people to answer the question, but whoever wants to answer it, we're going to give that shot. But we don't need everybody to answer the same question because we have a lot of panelists and we're going to have a lot of questions. Next question that came on Facebook. Why is it that Republicans take more biblical decisions than Democrats do? Which question are you going to answer? The first one? Okay, beautiful. 1 minute.
Right. The question is why I support the Democrats. I'm what you call a political animal. I believe in freedom of speech. I believe in everybody has a right to choose. And in this case, we have to choose between the lesser of two evils. And to me, Democrats are more people-oriented. And that's why I support them, because the whole policy of governance is towards people. And the Republicans, though I have been a conservative supporter all my political life, currently I believe the Republican Party are getting to a particular percentage of the population that's extreme, racial, and biased towards a particular point. And at this time, I believe the Democrats are different. And so that is my answer, the reason why I support the Democratic Party, because they're more people-oriented. That's it. And to just answer, just a quickly, you know, and like I said before in my opening remarks, there's no difference between religion and politics. The activities are the same. I'm the chairman of this organization. I'll tell you, there's a lot of politics, right? Some people don't even talk to me. Some people don't invite me to their home because I'm chairman. Okay, and I can tell you that. And as a politician, so there's no difference between the two. And all I said, all I want you to understand, both are the same. The only difference is in politics, right? Your relationship, and you're answerable to a person. In religion, it's the same thing, but you're answerable to God. That's the only difference. And again, for Muslim organizations at the moment, I think we have a lot of visionless Muslim leaders today in the world that are causing major problems. And to me, that has to change. And that's why here at Daraloom, old people like me were in the background. And today, the leadership in this organization are young people, teenagers. Do you know we're the only mosque in, I think, in the world where we have a 16-year-old who stands up and gives the sermon. We even have a visitor from Saudi Arabia, Riyadh, who was visiting here. And he said, listen, he asked me, how old is that young man? It was Hafiz Munir. I said he was 17 at the time. He said, my goodness. He said, even in Saudi Arabia, we don't have that. So today, as older folks, we have to give way to the younger generation because their perception of life is different to how we had it. Because we are more tribal in our ways. We come from ancestry who were tribal. Today, the Muslims in the world today don't understand its religion. Islam means peace. They have no way to define that. And that is the problem we face today. So they say we have to fix our house first in order before we try to fix somebody else's. And the basic principle and fundamental principle of Islam, love thy neighbor as thyself. And if you do not do that, then to me, you have no idea what Islam is all about.
Thank you very much, Brother Azad. I know we have Brother Javid give his hand up, but no. But I wanted to go to the judge. Could you answer this question? Because you are religiously a very educated person. Do I consider you a pastor or a bishop? Pastor also, as well as a judge. A judge. Judge Norman. Why is it that Republicans take more biblical decisions than Democrats do? That's what we got on Facebook. It's not me. So you could answer that, take a minute or so, and then give your comments. I know we have Brother Imtiaz, we have everybody else to give your... So please, go ahead.
I think it's a bit of a quick answer, because things are not always as they seem. So just imagine if you were watching on Facebook Live or you're watching on YouTube and you saw all these panelists here. And then what you would notice is that closest to Sheikh Fayyad are two women. So it appears he values women more than men. And in the middle, we have one Jewish American and one Hispanic American, the only ones on the panel.
And we did that deliberately. Anyhow, go ahead.
And he has them in the middle. But on the end, farthest away from him, he has the two blacks.
Oh.
Right? Dr. Nazir and myself. It seems he doesn't value blacks a lot, right? Because that's how it would appear. But things are not always as they seem. So we have to understand.
And there's a cut him. He's a judge, so he could do the analysis of these things. I like that.
So we have to understand, in order to understand why things are the way they are, or whether or not the Republicans favor one set of people over another, or Democrats do, that might actually be a false question. And so I think Sister Yasmin had the right answer when she says we have to define the terms we're using. But in addition to defining the terms, and there are much more qualified people on the panel and in the audience, I've seen some legal luminaries who have entered since we've started, right, is to understand how this came about. So just imagine that you were back at the founding of our country and the Constitution was put together. And at that time, you would have the Constitution is getting ready to be ratified. And when it's getting ready to be ratified, this guy Jefferson, who most of the people at the time who are Congregationalists who have put together this Constitution are thinking, this guy Jefferson, we're not even certain if he really is a Christian or even believes. And he believes in God, but we're not certain if he's a Christian. So Jefferson says, listen, I think in order for us to be fair to everyone, right? Because we don't want what we had back over in England, where someone who is, because you're Episcopalian or Anglican, I'm right and everyone else is wrong. And if I want to kill my wife, which is what was right, right, so, I will have to change from being a Catholic to becoming an Anglican so I can become the head of the church. He says we don't want that in America. What we want in America is something that's equitable and fair. So they put together the first 10 Bill of Rights that were passed as an accommodation to getting the Constitution ratified. Now, the First Amendment in that Bill of Rights is what we're talking about today. That First Amendment has to do with the freedom of speech, right? I should be able to say as an American, and you should be able to say as an American, anything that you want to say within limits, right? Freedom of speech, because you can't run out, you can't advocate for the killing of someone else, right? And you can't go and yell fire in a crowded theater. So there is some limits to your speech. The second thing that it provided for was this whole idea of freedom of the press, that we shouldn't have press that's dictated by the government, right? And you only hear one point of view. You should have a free press that would be able to inform all of us and give us, so we won't have any fake news. But and then the third thing that the reason for this First Amendment, which is what we're discussing today, has to do with this idea of freedom of religion. Because Jefferson wasn't a Congregationalist, and he wanted to make sure he'll be treated exactly the same as everyone else in America who might have been Congregationalists. So how does that apply to us today? So today you've heard Sheikh Fayyad say 90% of Americans say that they believe in God. Well, what does that mean? Which God do you believe in? And stats can be manipulated. However, 71% of Americans identify themselves as Christians. 6% of Americans identify themselves as Muslim, Jews, and Hindus, and other. 23% of Americans say they don't identify with any faith whatsoever. Doesn't mean that they don't believe in God, so Sheikh Fayyad is not wrong in his stats, right? Just they don't believe in any God. So how do you govern? Just imagine if you were appearing before a judge. not me, but you appear before a judge after having stolen the Sagat collection, right? And then you come before the judge, your attorney gets up beside you, and it's time for sentencing. And right at sentencing, I, the judge, say to you, oh, hold on for just a minute, brother. And I pull out my prayer rug, and I just have to make salat. And I bend, and I pray, and then I turn back and say, good, now it's time to sentence you. What are you accused of again? How would you feel? In that, right? It's the appearance of that. But that's what these founding fathers were trying to deal with. Listen, they weren't perfect. Because as you heard Jay Schwartz say, it was still okay to own slaves at the time they were passing these first 10 amendments. And it was still okay for women not to have a right to vote. It was still okay for most people living in America not to be able to vote unless they owned land. So they weren't perfect, but they understood that it was important to have some protection, some safeguards. But the truth is, everyone's politics is informed by their religion or lack of religion, because some people who are atheists or agnostics, right? So that's the reason that we have this thing, this First Amendment. So it protects all of us, whether we're Muslim, whether we're Christian, whether we're Hindu, whether we're Baha'i, or whether we don't believe in anything at all. And that's all I wanted to say.
Thank you very much. I love the analysis. It's how people look at things. And the example you gave of Dr. Nasser and yourself, that is so interesting. That reminds me that a guy once asked me, he said, why do Muslims read their book from the back? Why do they start from the back? I said, you see, you look at Muslims beginning to read from the back. But in my view, we begin from the right. We take the right turn. You use your left hand and make your first turn. So this is how we look at it. We begin from the right side of the book. You begin from the left side of the book. So when I began my conversation, I started at the right table and the one who is on the extreme right. And when I started here, I started with Judge Norman from the right. So the two African-Americans got priorities as the first people on the panelist. But from another point of view, it would look as though I'm closer to the ladies and put the Africans on the ends. But they were number one on my list. So it's how you really look at it. So it's very interesting, and you're so right. And the two Pakistanis in the middle. So let's Brother Javed. Let's get to you, and then we're going to get to the next question.
I would...
okay, we have a question.
No, I raised my hand first, please.
Excellent. He's just giving a Chinese read from the top to the bottom.
I would like to respond to our dear commissioner here, who has done very little for us. When it comes to water, water has become very expensive in city of Pembroke Pines. What has happened in America, the time is now, the elections are bought and sold. Forget about this jazz, Democrat and Republican. Koch brothers can dish out $200 billion and simply buy the elections. I recently received a very touchy video on my WhatsApp, an American sister describing that 1 year in office, President Donald Trump has dropped 40,000 bombs. Before him, our dear Muslim brother, Barack Hussein Obama, 110,000 bombs. President before him, 180,000 bombs. And president before him, 265,000 bombs. The factories cannot keep up with the demand of bombs which are being dropped. Who did what? You can be the judge. How elections and these politicians have changed my life and your life? Zero, none, zilch. I am struggling to pay my bill when Mr. Barack Hussein Obama was in office, and my Social Security was increased, thank God, $100, and a lot of bills. Muslims own America. You must continue to press this to the world and to the country, regardless of D or R. If you're not going to express your ownership in this nation, you and I and our generations to come will continue to struggle. Read a book called Black Money in America. All of this jazz about Treasury and IRS and FBI and CIA and all that. We are so entangled with these stories, that we forgot that we have a right to exist in America. State of Florida had $1 billion surplus dollar in property tax. Did you get a penny of it? No, you did not. Who got that money? Am I continue to pay bill in America and survive and struggle like this? No way. Absolutely not. We have to think and rethink, and let's not, please, for God's sake, think that this world is attacking us, America is attacking us. There is no such thing. Not only we help ourselves, we help the nation. Today, homelessness is on the rise. When you go to bed tonight, think how many brothers and sisters are sleeping on the streets. Every third household has nothing to eat. There are no jobs. Amazon is getting so big that it has taken over the small businesses. Does anybody bother to think about it? Those are the questions that we must answer, and we must ponder that what America is all about. Thank you, and God bless you.
So we have another question. We have another question on Facebook. I'm still waiting. As I said to the audience, don't be shy. As soon as you guys raise your hands up, we're going to take your questions. We said that in the very beginning, but we're taking what people are sending on Facebook and on Al Hikmah TV. This is an interesting question that just came on here. How come Donald Trump brought the troops back from Syria, but in the Democratic reign, they could not get that done? As the House Democratic leader, Representative Nancy Pelosi of California, suggested that the president had acted out of personal and political objectives rather than national security interests. Isn't that something good for our innocent Muslims in Syria? Who wants to take that question from the... All right, so 1 minute, Brother Wilfredo.
Just briefly.
Yeah, because we need to take the other table here.
America, something when we talk about politics, especially foreign policy, we need to probably divorce America's foreign policy more from who's the president. A perfect example of this is our presence in Afghanistan. It started with a Republican, it remains under 8 years of a Democrat, and it remains today under a Republican. So there's a foreign policy that, independent who's the president, is gradually implemented, and the same way is gradually moved to the different interests of the nation, regardless who's the president. Afghanistan is the longest war in American history. Since this nation was created, we have not been at war with any country more than our presence in Afghanistan. We have military presence in over 100 countries of the world. So our presence of lack of presence and intervention or lack of intervention in foreign policies is not necessarily moderated by who's the president at stake at some point. It is the Americans fulfilling American policies. And one of the reasons that Trump pulled out of Syria had nothing to do with Syria. It was not a merciful act to avoid more ruthless deaths, because we're still selling bombs and military technology for people who are killing civilians in another countries.
All right.
So what I'm trying to say is it good that we are withdrawing from a war? Every war we step out of is a good thing. I hope we leave Afghanistan as we should have left probably 10 years ago. I hope we stop supporting the military operations that have killed hundreds of thousands of kids in Yemen. Hundreds of thousands of kids, not soldiers. And we're actively engaged in that as well. So it's a little more profound just to evaluate if this is the right moment to leave Syria or not, if it was good or bad. Perhaps some people think our military participation would have prevented more deaths than the one we had in Syria if we were more animate or more willing to intervene in that war. It's a whole new panel. We should have to discuss foreign policy in America, especially how it affects the Muslim populations around the world, and how that affects the Muslim world perceptions towards America. It's another panel.
Beautiful. Okay. Thank you very much, Brother Wilfredo. So as Brother Wilfredo said, it has nothing to do with the presidents because it has been happening all the time. It's the policy, it's the party. But you know, there was something Brother Javed said, so don't hold me for it. He said the present president, the past president, the previous president, they had a history of how many thousands of bombs they dropped. So they're experts in bombs or they're expert bombs? I don't know. Whether the president's a bunch of expert bombs and the many bombs that they throw is how you take that. But we want to hear the ladies there, but I see we have a question here from Brother Imtiaz, or comments.
Yeah.
We're going to wind down. We're getting into time, so could we all take a little 1 minute or so we could get everybody to pitch in something?
Yeah, I'm really getting off track here because we are talking international politics. We are talking about religion. We are defining the word God. So we, as per my understanding of this country, the day someone take oath changes everything. And you have nothing, no affiliations where you come from. If you are not going to correct yourself, trust me, this session, like it's a beautiful saying in America, America run on Dunkin' Donuts. America run on hate. That's my statement. We run this country on hate. You know how many Muslims do not participate in this country in politics till Trump came? I salute our current president for shaking and waking up American Muslims. He is a blessing. He is acting whatever he is doing. I'm a Democrat, not by wish or by choice. There was nothing available. When I became a US citizen and I wanted to do something like so-called politics in America, there is no such thing. The media is the biggest problem in this country, and American people are the most uneducated nation in the world. What goes around in the world? How come you're going to know? All you are busy doing your things. That's why Muslims took one stand that they just try to be close to the God by building mosques around the entire USA, building social services, doing everything. We have mosques like we have gas stations in Florida. Every corner there's a mosque, everywhere, because they got a track of religious freedom. They got track of social services, and they were sleeping about how important it is to be part of the society where you belong. So Muslims in America have lost their identity. They are not deciding their identity, who they are. They are from all over the world in this country. But please understand the constitution of this country. Understand the value of the vote you took. You can take oath, on Bible. You can take oath on anything. But the relationship of God is a secret relationship. If I am forced to take oath on Bible, would you think that I am a Christian? No. I am taking oath because I am thinking secretly that I have a relationship with God. How I practice myself, my religion, that's nothing to do with what I'm doing. But look, like Judge Norman said, 76, right? 76% Christian rule this country? 71. So all the blames should go to who? First, we need to decide about this country. We are trying to separate the church from the government. We are trying to debate politics in America. So first, we decide what kind of religion we are talking about. We have varieties of religions here. We have varieties of gods here. We have varieties. And find me a single religion in the world which teaches you hate, terrorism, and all these things. Like, you know, Brother Javed, Brother Ruiz just mentioned the global situation that, you know, whichever president came, whether he was a Democrat or Republican, they're doing nothing but selling arms and killing people. I don't know, as a student, how you will understand what is the definition of terrorism. It's why only Muslims are attached to terrorism when somebody with other faith occur any act of terrorism called he has a mental health issue. Because look, we have a freedom of speech, we do not exercise it. What is harm in saying terrorism committed by Christian, Jewish, Muslim, or anybody is a terrorism? There is no such thing. The Muslims are terrorists. There is no such thing available in the dictionary. But it is being fed to the nation through the media. This is what we hear all day long. This guy, okay, something happened in America anywhere. Oh, this guy is Muhammad. Oh, he's a terrorist. No, he's a U.S. citizen by the system, and he's a peaceful citizen of this land. He is utilizing his constitutional powers and respecting all laws of this nation. How are you going to create more hate, more hate? This is what's happening in this country because our politicians are to be blamed 100%. When they come to you guys to get the vote, don't think them Democrat, don't think them Republican, just think them they are going to be your voice. They are going to resolve our issues. What issues we face here as a Muslim, you have no problem. Go offer your prayer however you want. As a Christian, do whatever you feel like. Nobody. But unfortunately, the system is designed in a way when the politicians come in the field of getting the votes, that time they are Christians, they are Jewish, they are Muslim candidates, and people just start talking about, oh, this guy is Muslim, so their mindset is not clear about the country. That's why, you know, why they are defining. I happen to be a Muslim. I could be Christian. I could be anything. But we are discussing that the religion must mix with politics, which is okay, that both run parallel. It's like a train. We need each other, but understand one thing. We cannot interfere in religion and in politics. Politics are for the people, for the betterment, nothing to do with religion. You can be a Christian or Jew to serve. The commissioner sitting right here, he's not going to give water only to the Jewish people. He's not going to benefit only Jewish people if elected. If I'm elected, I'm not only going to serve the Muslims, but you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to serve the others to show American people this is what my basic understanding and learning of Islam is. Because to me, there is no such thing, Christianity and religion division among the people, like as a Jewish, Muslim, all. Religion of the world is international. Maulana Shafat efforts are incredible when he does interfaith thing. We need to learn as a different faith holder how to respect each other religion, how to respect and how to show yourself. Like, you know, Mr. Norman just mentioned that how the percentage was. It's a great question. I mean, your answer you gave, 71 or 76% are to be responsible for this. So we need to focus. The media need to really answer that 76% people are the responsible of what is happening around the world and what is happening in the USA. So now, I really don't want to go in more depth, but simplify my entire discussion in politics in America is very easy. All you have to follow your faith and perform your faith. What you learn from your faith should be the action. If my actions are good, if my performances are best, I can be anybody, but I can be a good politician. So that's my dream, not to be a Democrat, not to be a Republican, but to be a good politician serving all. That's my future plan. So I hope This message goes to everybody. I want vote from everybody. Give me a chance, just one time. Then you can ask me after my term how much effective and beneficial I was, and then characterize me as American Muslim and whatever you can call me.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much. All right, give him a round of applause. While you were talking there, we got a little critical question here for you, but I will pass that question on in a few minutes. I'll just tell you it, but we'll answer it afterwards because we want to give some more people the option to answer. Someone did say, well, if you become president, Imtiaz, it was directly to you. Brother Imtiaz, if you were to be president of the United States, what would you do for Muslims since you just said that all Americans are uneducated? So there you go. No, not now. We're going to answer that. Let me, Brother Asif, could we all kind of keep our answers and comments now to 1 minute so we could get everybody on par? Because we have a lot more people. This sister wants to... let's give the sister an opportunity
actually,
first.
sisters were given an opportunity.
That's
to
why I kept
connect,
the...
and again, the power goes to men again.
No, I kept the sisters. I kept the sisters closer to me, so I'll see their hands
I know
first.
Sheikh Shafat passed on the mic to sisters, but again, brothers jumped again and then took the microphone. But I think we know how to stand up for ourselves now. So first, we have to realize what religion is. So the religion solely, it's the matter which lies in between the God and the man. So I'm free to practice the religion in this country the way I want to practice. And I want to see everyone has an opportunity and right to practice the same, whether they want to believe in any God, and if they don't want to believe it. So that here comes the separation of state and church. And being a Muslim, we have to see the community, not just like the religious groups, that we have to see the community, because according to the Pew Research and Honorable Judge Norman already have said, and I do apologize, I have problems remembering names, so I would have to think a little bit. So Honorable Judge Norman already have said that 70% of population of this country recognize themselves as Christians, but we still have a 23% which recognize themselves as non-believers, that they don't believe. So they are the part of the community too. So we cannot make the decisions and public policies ignoring the 23%. They're where this community is. And as Muslims and believing in Islam, my religion teaches me to take care of the community, regardless if my neighbor is Christian, Jew, or non-believer. If my next door neighbor sleeps hungry, then God would ask me, because that's the right I have or my neighbor has on me. So I have to take care of my neighbors, my community, and that's how I would be taking part in public policy. One thing that when it comes to criticizing the president, even though when he had the troops in Syria, everyone was just criticizing him that why the troops are in Syria. Now he pulled the troops, people are still asking the question why, and so whatever the reason behind that, the good initiative had happened, and a good thing had was possible for him to do. So we should recognize the president, and we should not be criticizing him all the time. And again, he's not a politician. He is the first time in politics and took the presidency. So it was a good thing that he pulled the troops, which is good. Again, when it comes to the separation of children at the Mexican border, everyone was talking about that he did not issue the executive orders until the religious organizations have step up. Yes, religious organizations have stepped up, and he issued the executive order to stop that practice, which I will just give a hand for that too, that I would really commend him for that, because regardless of what reason or regardless of whatever, even the religious organization was part of that public policy, a good thing happened. So it was a good initiative. So we have to see the positive things that what's coming in public policy. So yes, we cannot keep the religion and politics separate, but we have to have a very proper balance in that. As long as no one in the community is getting hurt according to those policies or because of those policies, I don't think that we should have any problem going religion and politics together. Another thing I would like to mention, if I do have time, I don't know if there is a timer.
Yeah, well,
Oh, okay, then I don't want to take more time because I want to give.
we'll come back to you. We'll come back to you. All right, beautiful. Let's get Brother Asif. So let's keep it again, as I said. Let's keep a 60 to 90 seconds, and we're going to rotate. You're going to have more time to come back. Please. Yes.
Okay.
Okay, we're going to hear about Dr. Nasser after. No, go ahead. Go ahead. Well, I have told them. I'm waiting for their... okay, beautiful.
Okay.
Take 1 minute. We're going to go to Dr. Nasser, and we're going to come back. Yeah.
There are two very important questions that came up from the Facebook. One was that why do Republicans mostly vote biblical? And the second is the Donald Trump pulling out of Syria. And I think it goes back to, as I said before, the major divisions that we have, the heart and mind. Republicans tend to be, they are the conservatives. They tend to keep the traditions that we already have. They tend to keep the rules that were established, and they are very well tested, and the continuity that we people want. And so they respond to that. Yes. and there are, yes.
Like not giving women the right to
exactly. And also the gay rights, yes. And there is a debate on that, and I agree to that. But whether it's right or wrong, just like the LGBT community and the gay rights, and for a long time that we had discussion. Sorry? Okay. LGBT? Okay, okay. No, that's another people, and they are persecuted. So, okay. So coming to the point, they are the conservative party, and they interpret, and that's one of the things that they interpret Constitution the way they think it was created to, and the original meaning of the Constitution. Democrats are supposed to interpret the newer meanings of the Constitution. That's why Republican number one appears to be more biblical. The second part, and that's very important part, what is Donald Trump doing at this time? Right? Obviously, Donald Trump presidency, it will take a long time to have a judgment on that. But there is something that personally to me, Donald Trump is surprising me. Right? And we have to see that he is representing business community. And business community is trying to always come up with solutions that are more to the mind. So at this moment, what it looks like, that he is trying to resolve the disputes. And somehow he is coming up with the resolution. Whether he will come up or he will finally have the resolutions, we don't know. But that's what we are seeing that is happening at this moment. He is engaging North Korea. He is engaging Russia. He is thinking what generally looks like thinking out of the box. And I don't want to speak because there's more democratic part. But we have to, as Sister Simon said, we have to give appreciation to something that is happening.
Are you Republican or Democrat?
I'm
just a moderator. I want to balance. I want to see a balanced group here now.
No, but one thing that I am, and I am more opposition. Right, general thinking. One thing that I see, this panel is for religion and politics, and it looks like to be Muslim and politics, right? But what I am is that we have to see as Muslims, right, what is the right thing. One thing is that we are asking for more participation, but we have to also think that what we are going to contribute to society. When we get that position, what are we going to give? What is the difference that we are bringing to the table? And we will be asked, and this is as Brother Imtiaz said, this is an opportunity that has been presented to us, and we are seizing, and now we are presenting. But very soon, this opportunity is going to ask us, okay, so what are you bringing new to the table? And we have to think about that, and that's the thinking that's needed, deeper thinking in Islam, and we have to see our religion, and then we have to interpret in religion how it applies to the society today. So there is an important time coming for the Muslims, and we should prepare for that.
Okay, thank you very much. Dr. Nasser, let's hear you. I mean, the floor was always open for the panelists. Just show me your hands, and we're going to have Dr. Nasser, and then we're going to take some questions from the audience again. Yeah, we're going to take the... No, go ahead, go ahead. Let's hear your... Okay, we'll ask Dr. Nasser to respond. Yes, go again. Where's the microphone? He has it.
Assalamu alaikum.
Welcome, assalam.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. So what I have heard from that table to this table, you brothers take and talk your heart out. And I believe everything that's said on these two tables. Now I'll tell myself. When I was sponsored from Canada to here,
See, hold the mic a little closer here.
I crossed at the Dakota. I went to the station with my truck and all my belongings coming across America. I parked. The immigration officer came out, tell me to come inside. He asked me for the book that I got. I got 2 books, 2 envelopes. Each one it was thick as an inch. So we go in, he put me to sit down, he took the paper and he went inside.
Could you hold the mic closer so we could get
It took him more than 10 minutes and he came back out and give me back my envelope. So I look at the envelope, I know if it opened or it didn't open, can't remember what he did. But all he said to me, welcome to the land of milk and honey. That he told me. My wife is there, she could have, okay, that's another thing, that's finished. Now, religiously, all religions are beautiful. For me, depend on how you want to take it. Like all religions teach you good from bad. You make your choice. You want the good thing, take it. You want the bad thing, take it. But I think you should take the good thing which all of you have right now. Very good. This set of men that is here right now deserve to rule America. Thank you very
Beautiful. Much. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. We have a couple. Could I see the hands of everyone who want to ask a question? We have 2 hands here. Any sisters? Anyone in the back? Okay, so let's get your question, brother. We're going to take Haji after. Yes. Yeah, you got a microphone here. Question. We want to get a question. Yeah, hold the mic close, please.
On here now?
Yeah.
He was talking about in Canada. I'm from Trinidad. When I was 40 years old, I was teaching Muslim school. I went to Canada, taught school there for 25 years. Retired in 1994. I'm here almost 25 years. So 40, 25, 25, I'm almost 90 years young.
Congratulations.
I can see how politics is being played here. Politicians are the bane of society. Look at the 2 parties you have. Republican Party, political party, Democratic political party. So the whole thing is what? Politics. One is against the other. And I am very keen. Democrat, somebody question asked, it's a division. I am not going to compromise my religion, Islam, for politics. Nor the Jewish person should compromise his or her religion for politics. I know that politics, only religion when they started at first, what they started with. The politically profit, they had political problems in their days. Now I want to ask a question as a Muslim, and I want a straight answer, because I have an answer to it. My age is in my hand. My name is Sheikh Bashir.
So you're living up to the Sheikh. Wonderful.
Shake it down.
Yes. Keep the mic closer so we can get the audio.
Very good answer. I have my master's in teaching. I went to 3 universities.
Yeah.
And teachers, but to give you a background, we are 23 teachers in our family.
Wow.
So it's kind of tradition, when you apply for the job, ministry gives it. I want to ask, especially from the Muslim panel here, why is it the most unsettled part of the world today are in Muslim countries? I know Americans take part in it, but from the very inception, Muslims against Muslims, Shia, Kurds, Qadiani, you name it, why? They believe in the same God, same Sharia, they believe in the same Quran. In the Quran says, Ati'u Allah wa atiyar Rasul wa ulul amri minkum. That's it. That's Islam. Obey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Obey the Prophet. How you going to obey the Prophet in the Quran? The Quran is a blueprint. And it gives you the answer. In Urdu they say, Har dard ki dawa hai, salli ala Muhammad. Yeah. Today we have Muslims fighting against Muslims. Oh, I'm a Shia, I'm this and that. And another thing is, in my almost 90 years, they said politics in Trinidad is bad, but politics here is rotten. I sense, yes, raw to the core. You don't trust a politician so much, neither a statistician and a policeman. They're always right. They're always right. It's just like a salesman comes and say, I have the best product in the world. Next one say the same thing. So if everybody has the best product in the world, then everyone should be equal.
Okay. So we're going to have your question.
Another thing.
Another question?
Ask the question and get the answer to it.
I was going to ask Brother Nasser, Dr. Nasser, to answer your question. Yeah, please. No, Dr. Nasser, he has a nice question.
He's the pioneer.
Why is... Yes. Yes, so you can ask another question. Why is the Muslim world so unsettled? They're more corrupted in the political arena.
It's because...
You can take the mic. Take the mic off.
It's because we have drifted away from our original self. The same self or soul that's in me is in everybody in this room. We all have the same soul. And that soul was created upon excellence. Okay, I'm not going to... Yeah. Okay.
Okay, let him answer. Let him answer, please.
No,
yes.
He's the chief.
Go ahead.
He's the chief. Okay. Yeah, in the Quran it says, we have given you different features, but we have given you the same one picture. That's what it says in the Quran now. I'm giving you Quran. Listen, I have people who have trouble being in politics, Muslims. So I'm saying to them to help them. The Prophet said, Kullukum ra'in wa kullukum mas'ulun, means each of you are responsible. Each of you are a guardian for the members that are under your charge. This is the Prophet saying this. So he said, first is the individual. The ruler is first the person. And he has members under him. The hand is under him. The legs is under him. Every cell in the body votes to tell the mind what to do. So the governmental structure comes out of the evolution of the human being. If you understand the human being that God made, then you can see how government has evolved out of the structure of the human being. Yes, and government is the destiny for man. It's our destiny. It's not my destiny to be 40 years old or a doctor or a lawyer. The destiny for humanity is community life. That's the destiny for all human beings. Yeah, I'm going to answer the question. I said, I'm going to.
Could you give him the mic? Could you give him the mic, please? Yeah. No, you. I wanted to give you the mic, yeah.
Okay.
When that question is asked,
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, because we are.
But look, to be fair, everybody else had a longer period of time. Okay.
All right, so let him give you his answer. Yes.
Yeah. To be fair, they had a long period of time. You're gonna give me five seconds. That's not fair. No, I'm not talking to you.
Okay. well, I could understand the back and forth. That's the political atmosphere. Go ahead, Dr. Nasser.
Yeah, you'll remember now in the Quran, Allah says, La ikraha fi din. That's Quran. And each is turned to a direction which God has given him. So the individual, he makes choices. He either chooses what is best for his soul, or he's going to choose what's going to be destructive for his soul. That's your Quran, you know. Successful is he who pays on his soul, and failure is the one who abases his soul. So it's the church.
I'm sorry to say that.
Yeah.
I still have the Quran, Jewish scripture, the Bhagavad Gita. When I take my GC in what I did for, didn't have Islam.
Teach, may I interject for a moment, but I think we're kind of going off course right now. So let us answer the question and move on to someone else. Because the question you asked, teacher, the question you asked, why is the Muslim world fighting each other? There are many more Muslims who kill Muslims than non-Muslim killing Muslims in the world. That's what you're saying. And you are right.
All right, so we got another question. Haji Hanif, you had a question. Could you ask your question? Could we get the microphone for Brother Hanif, please?
I'll answer. The reason why Muslims have been fighting each other, and you know, we have people in the West, or us in particular, we blame the Americans and the British for causing problems in the Muslim world. No. The Muslims are causing their own problems because they're very tribal. The vast majority of Muslim countries are semi-illiterate, right? Just recently on the BBC, on a documentary, a boy who memorized the entire Quran, they asked him to explain a verse. He didn't know how to explain the verse because he wants to a martyr. He wants to go into paradise so he could find beautiful women. So they asked him to set a bomb, to put a bomb on his body and create havoc in a crowd. He said he's going to do it because he wants to go to paradise. When the BBC journalist asked him, but why the Quran does not say, he had no idea about what he learned in that Quran. And that is the problem among the majority of Muslims in those countries. They haven't got a clue what Islam is about. They they pray like the father prayed before them. So they just follow fashion, but they don't know about Islam, teacher, and that is one main reason why you have the problem with those Muslim countries.
Okay, so we're on a countdown. We got 5 minutes to conclude. We originally had scheduled to conclude this program at 1 o'clock, but because we started at 11:15, I decided to give that extra 10-15 minutes so we give the full justice to the 2 hours. So we really need the 30 seconds, 60 second answers, please, so we can conclude this in 5 minutes. Yes.
Thank you for organizing this discussion, Maulana. My question is, and I'm asking the Muslim community, we invited over 500 people. This is the attendance. Please get involved in your religion as well as politics. They go hand in hand. And if you are not involved in your politics, I'm sorry. Let me just state why I said that. When I became chairman of the corporation in Princeton, it was the first time they heard a Muslim prayer in a city council. It was the first time. That's why we must get involved.
So maybe our panelists don't know, but Brother Hanif has been a member of parliament in the government of Trinidad and Tobago. Yes, give him a round of applause. So he's speaking from a very political background.
Get involved in both your religion and, of course, don't leave out the politics. You have a responsibility because the politicians govern you. And don't ever believe that all politicians are untrue and liars. That is not true. I stand firm. No one can pat me on my shoulder for 19 years and say you were involved in this or that. So we have good people and bad people. Politics gets its bad name through the bad ones.
Good. Give him a round of applause for that. So, you know, that's one of the reasons why we wanted this conversation, because a lot of people think religion is bad. Most wars and killings took place because of religion. And a lot of people think that all politicians are corrupted. And we are trying to make that kosher, halal, justify that situation.
All politicians are not corrupted. And let me just say
well,
this.
that's the reason why we have this conversation, to let people know there are honest people, and we separate the evil from the good in religion and the good in politics. Yes.
Let me just say this. Today's discussion will come to an end, but this idea of this discussion and what has been raised today, we must continue with it.
Good. Thank you very much. And I like the comment that Brother Hanif made. You see, that's my point. When a Muslim gets in some problem, the media chastise the Muslims, and every masjid is having some program to defend themselves. You know, to me, that's hypocrisy. And 40 years in preaching Islam, that's hypocrisy. Because I've been here for many years and all over America. We don't be active and proactive. When there's a problem, every masjid is trying to clear their name. Or terrorists came here, this one did this, that one did this. But if we get involved in leadership, in all the activities, and make our presence heard and be active and live it, as opposed to always being in the defense, that's what criminals do. So then we all a bunch of criminals. Because we act like criminals, Brother Wilfredo, only when there's a problem. I'm sure, Wilfredo, you go to a lot of Muslims, only when there's a problem you hear them responding. Unfortunately, and that's the political disease we have. Only when there is a problem. And that's why we wanted to make that presence even more and better understood. Everybody wants the Muslims to be involved. They want Trump to do what pleases Muslims, Obama to do what pleases Muslims, but you don't get involved in the arena. Until you don't, politicians will use you. And credit needs to go to our Muslim brothers and sisters and people who get involved in it. And Al-Hikmah TV, I want to make a disclaimer. We don't represent all the comments that went out here today. You are free. That's what media is all about. This is not fake news. This is real talk. But the media is all about that, giving opportunity for people to voice their opinion. So we really do not represent all the opinions shared here, but we feel free to share everybody's opinion to let the world know how we all think and how we strive. All right? So we're in a countdown. I didn't see no more hands from the audience. Brother Abdurrahman, you had your hands? Okay, so we're going to take a last question from Brother Abdurrahman. He came very far from West Palm Beach. And then I may probably give everybody on the panel just 30 seconds to give a little few words of your comments. We didn't hear much from Sister Yasmin. Sister Yasmin is a very high-profile sister, you know. That's why we have her here. Lived in Dubai, from Saudi Arabia, a television journalist, a lot of background. We wanted to hear from her, but she was more or less listening to the practical aspect. She's a theologian. She's a woman of theory. So let's get your question as we conclude.
Assalamu alaikum, everybody.
Walaikum assalam wa rahmatullah.
I had a question for the panel, whomever wants to handle it. Is political, directly political, about what are we going to do about this situation with this, like in the last midterms, last general election, with the fiasco of the counting, and Democrats keep losing because we don't have proper messaging, proper footing to put out a message per se without the actual candidate putting it out. In the Republican Party, they have pundits and whatnot that put their messages out. They don't put their candidates on the front line. I think we need to get a little more astute in our messaging as Democrats. I may be biased because I am a Democrat, and so I'm speaking from that point of view. but this will be healthy for the whole political process because we did a lot of advocating for people to come and vote and get turn out to vote, GOVT and all of that. People came, and now they feel like their vote didn't even count because it was a total fiasco when these ballots were counted and whatnot, and it seems like just a pure sham. And now we're stuck with 4 more years of, and 6 years and whatnot, of Republican people that we know are crooks and they have scrupulous backgrounds and whatnot. What can the Democratic Party do with the Florida Democratic Party? Because this state is a vital swing state for upcoming 2020
let me
national
not cut off your question, but let me get direct to the answer. Okay, as the only elected official up here, I have to firmly disagree with some of your comments, but you're correct in your view. See, the thing is we all take a personal experience when we go into the ballot box. Okay, I've lost elections. There's people here on this panel who's lost elections, but there are good Republicans and there are good Democrats and there are good independents who are doing great things for this country.
I'll agree with that.
Okay, with respect to energizing folks, if you do not have a personal connection with a candidate, stay home. You're not doing us any good by being a part of the lemming line where someone walks in because it's political season, they show up, they make a nice speech, they sit on the panel, and all of a sudden he or she is a great person. I'm going to vote for him based on one interaction. Get to know who they are. Ask them, do you believe or are you a non-believer, if that's important to you? And you know what? Over 30% of the people in America don't care if you're a believer or not. John F. Kennedy, the only Catholic president we've ever had, okay, who saved the United States from a nuclear crisis, was almost not elected because of his faith. Okay.
This is the messaging part I'm talking about.
The messaging part is the following. You could be a Democrat and vote for whoever you want to vote, because whatever happens in that ballot booth is between you and God. It's your personal choice. It's not a messaging of a party. Let me tell you something. Coca-Cola wants to sell a lot of soft drinks, but there's a lot of Pepsi drinkers out there too. So just don't think that one brand's going to fit all and one's view is going to fit all. Trust me. Okay, as a person who 44% of the people have rejected me. Okay, not everyone in this community is going to vote the same way I think, and that's okay.
No,
so when it comes to messaging, I would say this: education is more important than messaging. Getting to know the individual is more than messaging, because messaging is just a label, and aren't we all tired of the labels?
Okay, but thank you. Answer the part about the ballot counting.
The ballot counting, Dr. Snipes is incompetent. I know firsthand how incompetent her office has been. Okay, it's not once but twice. As a matter of fact, Mr. Qureshi mentioned, and again, this is a global audience, but he mentioned, you can go I'm on video, November of 2012, lines going out the door. That was incompetence from Dr. Snipes' office. 4 years later, more incompetence. 2 years after that, more incompetence. Now, I know Dr. Snipes. We've sat down at panels, and I know Dr. Snipes. But I'm telling you, Norman has dealt with it. MTIs knows what it's like to pick up the phone as a candidate and have incredible frustration with data. I can tell you this. I don't know if my vote counted in 2000. It wasn't her fault then. Okay? But there are people who voted by mail in this election whose vote was not counted, sir.
Yeah, that was
and that goes to the core of democracy. People's votes were not counted. And I can't sit back with that. So you know what? I can support Dr. Snipes in some ways, but she missed the mark, and we have a new supervisor of election here in Broward County. We were an embarrassment to the nation. An embarrassment to the nation. Okay? So, Sheikh, there was a question by you, sir. Why is there so much division? Okay? In Judaism, you have Reform, you have conservative, you have Orthodox. You have in Christianity, you have Roman Catholic, you've got Baptist, you have different sects, and in the Muslim world, it's the same. Okay. So until politics isn't going to fix that, society must embrace that, and it comes to this: corruption and power exists in politics and religion. So, I don't want to debate you on live TV. I'll give you my card and we can have coffee. But I will tell you, Sheikh, okay, I'm going to close my remarks here.
Okay. Because I was going to start with the two ladies for the closing remarks.
I'm going to close my. I just want to say thank you to you, sir, for being an advocate for the world.
Thank you.
First and foremost. Second, the panelists. We all have our individual comments and viewpoints, and not one of us are going to agree or disagree with them, right? I just want to say thank you. And if this is a starter to bring us even closer together as a community within the United States of America, I'm all for that. And again, happy and healthy New Year to everyone.
Thank you very much. So we're going to start with Sister Yasmin on this table for her couple seconds conclusion remarks and closing remarks, and we'll do the same here with Sister Saima. But before that, you know what, I'll tell you the questions that came online. We wouldn't have those questions answered. We want to apologize to our viewers on Al Hikmat TV, Facebook, and YouTube. We didn't have the time to answer all the questions, but that's a good sign. We could have another talk show again, because we have a lot of questions pending. But I want to tell you one comment. One comment a brother made online and says, and I would only think he's referring to Muslims, but let's generalize it. People got too much talk nowadays and no financial contribution to campaign fund and campaign funds. So it's all about talk, and it's all about talk and not really walking the walk. So a lot that we talk, we need to put it so we can make some live action. And let's be real, that's another reason why Muslims are not into very political positions, because other people put a lot of money in their campaign funds, Muslims put a lot of talk, and they don't support each other in the funds, right? But anyhow, go ahead, Sister Yasmin.
Okay, I'd like to just conclude by saying that, as Muslims, our job is really to be the custodians, vice surgeons, khulafa, of God's divine message, which is to uphold unity, peace, love, justice. And these are all universal truths that we share with everyone. Let's not try to make ourselves to be something that's foreign. We're just as indigenous to this land that is called America as anybody else. We're not foreign, so let's not try to offer people the perspective that we are. I think we also really need to limit the usage of the Arabic language, even though I'm a fluent speaker of the Arabic language, because in the United States, the more Arabic you speak, the more you make Islam as this foreign exported thing. And when it comes to, and this is the last point I make, and I think this is really important, Brother Alfredo mentioned the Sharia. Our loyalty as Muslims is to the Quran, because the Quran is perfect. Sharia is not. Do not ever confuse the two. Sharia is not perfect. Sharia is a body of laws that has been put forth by Muslims. And so if anybody tries to attack you by throwing the Sharia comment on you, and just say, you know what? There are a lot of things in the Sharia that are very compatible with United States Constitution, and there are a lot of things that are actually highly incompatible even to Muslims today. and that are invalid and that need to be readdressed, need to be changed. Sharia has a body of law, and laws change all the time. Quran doesn't change. Sharia changes, and in fact, there should be many Sharias for different societies and for different times and for different places. And I say this as an advocate of Islamic law. So we really need to be very careful as to what we're defending. And make sure that when you're addressing non-Muslims, that come together for common ground. And Maulana Shafa'at is the best in doing that, because he looks at the universal truths, which is why he's, mashallah, so successful in interfaith dialogue, is because we come together for our shared humanity. And honestly, even if we just stay there in our politics, wallahi, that's enough. Let's just uphold our shared humanity, the universal truths that exist in all the traditions. If we can just achieve that much, wallahi, we will have a much better grounding in the political process here in the United States and be much better advocates of peace around the world, inshallah.
Thank you very much. Give her a round of applause for that. That's wonderful. Beautiful. Go ahead, Brother Asif. Please, 30 seconds. She made up because she did not she did not voice her opinion much before, so you go ahead. Just conclude. No, thank you very much, Sister Yasmin. You made up for the whole thing. Wonderful.
Yeah, I want to make a quick 2-second comment about the question that was not answered here. It's one of our great philosophers of our time. He quickly summed up with 4 words, and that tells why nations go down. And let me say it in Urdu quickly. It says, "आ तुझको बताता हूँ तकदीर उमम क्या है." Let me tell you what's the rise and fall of nations. Shamshir o sana awwal. It starts with struggle and exploration. Taus or rabab akhir. It ends with luxury and rest. So that was the contribution. The other thing that coming back to my concluding remark on religion and politics, it's really a division within us. Humanity itself has not been able to decide whether to explore God in this world as it is right now, it exists. And that division basically divides us, and that division exists between the decisions that we cannot make. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
I will simply say that although we had a deep discussion and trying to mix religion and politics together, but I will say to all my audience that we cannot change the Constitution. We cannot change the way the America runs. So the best in our interest, just be whoever you are, keep following your faith and religion, and show your religion. Don't discuss your religion, and just go for the system, and do not trying to mix apple and oranges. In the end, my conclusion, I want to keep away the religion, because it's not clearly defined which religion we are going to implement and which religion we are going to make changes. Whatever my faith and my belief is a secret with God. And I want to keep that, and I will show in my act that what I have learned from that religion. I'm not going to change the Constitution. I'm not going to change any government system. I will just abide the law and practice the law.
Thank you very much, Brother Imtiaz. Dr. Nasser,
yes.
Couple seconds, conclude. Your concluding remarks.
Man is a product of words. If he's hungry, you feed his body. Water, steaks and potatoes. But man is mind, M-I-N-D. And he's created by words. really wish we had more time. And I want to say this too. Let me say this
Yeah.
for the
No,
sister.
I've got to conclude with everybody. Please, go ahead. You go ahead.
Yeah,
You go
yeah,
ahead.
yeah,
A
yeah.
couple seconds, conclude.
Because you gave these other people more time.
Yeah, go
than you
ahead,
gave
go ahead.
me. That's not fair. I'm speaking to you.
Yeah, go ahead, brother, Dr. Nasser.
Woman is the womb of mine.
We need to have more women educated out there so they can do more educated products. Beautiful, beautiful, wonderful. Listen, that was one of the reasons why this talk show, I want to let you guys know, we had a ticket that people had to buy to come because we sort of limited the audience because we wanted to keep it a little bit sober. If we had left it to the John public, it could have gone chaotic. So we had a reason. We diplomatically made the floor open, but limited it in a technical way. That's why we had a ticket for a brunch, so it limited the people who are not thinkers for coming. So go ahead, Sister Simon. Let's hear your couple seconds concluding remarks. Oh.
Okay, I want to conclude this with thanking everyone that that came out today, and thank you.
I like that word. Open, honest,
Knowledge and half knowledge is dangerous. So I would like to invite everyone to come to the open channels to know about Muslims and Islam and the Deen, so we have better understanding. And then another comment I would like to make, that when the Republicans scripture, that is okay when someone tries to do the same thing and then try to use Quranic as scripture. So then the problem starts that, okay, someone wants to bring Sharia or something. I'd like to say happy holidays, whatever you celebrate, Merry Christmas, or whatever occasion do you celebrate and holiday you celebrate, happy holidays and Happy New Year.
Thank you very much. You could take the microphone off. Yeah.
Yes, assalamu alaikum. In my conclusion, I'd like to really tell our brothers and sisters and the wide audience, there is no difference. Is politics, but we have a maker who we answer to, and that's a difference. My advice to our Muslim brothers and sisters, get out and get involved in the politics of America. You are not going back to your country. This is a democracy we must admire, where we vote and not use the gun to persuade people to vote for you. The problem with the Muslim countries today is because of lack of education. Educate your children. That's why at this mosque in Darulum here, we have an example. Only children who go to our classes if they're going to secular school. If you don't want to send your children to secular school, do not send them to this country. The world and in this country. And an educated Muslim is a good Muslim. So please educate yourselves, because that too is religion. It says, seek knowledge from the cradle to the grave. It didn't say Quran. It didn't say Christianity or Judaism. It says, seek knowledge from the cradle to the grave. And that, my brothers and sisters, will make us Muslims a very proud and wonderful people. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Brother Azad.
Assalamu alaikum. Thank you, Sheikh Shafayat, and for the community for showing up and the very interesting questions. An engagement that this community traditionally have had. it didn't came out of the blues. It's a process that the leadership of this Islamic Center have cultivated generationally, so that to this day we can hold these panels with the local full house here and the online extent to that. I just want to add to what the brother just said. A last advice, become educated on both. This panel was about religion and politics. So learn what is politics and how it translates into America. Learn that the sewage system is politics. Your street is politics. Your mail delivery is politics. Your schools is politics. So sometimes we want to define politics only as the ultimate foreign policies of America, as is the commissioner in his seat deals with that. He deals with the local things and the primary needs of his community. So start the contact with politics from those politicians that are closest to you and build it up, right? And then get engaged in all levels is my advice. But learn about politics. A lot of people want to minimize the definition of politics in America to the seat of the presidency. And that's really minimizing what Donald Trump does. Very little affects your daily lives, believe it or not. Very little. Unless he touches our taxes that everybody pays, but a lot of things don't affect us directly, as, for example, the commissioner's work on a weekly basis does affect the constituency. And also let's learn about our dean. Unfortunately, our main resource of learning about our dean has been the Sheikh Google, and that has created a new generation of know-it-alls in our community that endangers the progress of the implementation of the true teachings of our dean as Americans here. Learn about both. It's like our religion says, learn from the cradle to the crib. It is our religious duty. And get involved. Be at the table, not on the table.
Okay. So thank you very much. Thank you very much, Brother Wilfredo. Yes, Brother Javed. Couple seconds to conclude, inshallah.
Assalamu alaikum, brothers and sisters. I disagree. The picture which was painted about the Muslim world, that is not true. We are not a bunch of terrorists. I was recently in the wonderful island nation of Trinidad and Tobago. 14% of the population, Muslims, have done wonderful things in Trinidad. Superb hospitality, preservation of deen, and very hardworking brothers and sisters in Trinidad. I was honored to visit that island nation. Why don't you all come to Pakistan and I will take you to Afghanistan? I will show you the families who were bombed mercilessly by drone attack because someone sitting in Tampa could not differentiate between a terrorist and a wedding. If you walk the street of Kabul, you will see hundreds and thousands of people who were crippled and disabled. Should we not do something about Afghanistan to rebuild Afghanistan? Yes, we should. We have problems. But let's not paint a picture to the world that we are the problem. God bless you all. We may not celebrate Christmas, but Christmas is a national holiday. People do things around here. So happy holidays to you. Enjoy the holidays, and God bless you all. Thank you, Sheikh Safai.
Thank you very much, Brother Javed. Wonderful. Judge.
Right.
That's why you are the judge. We have you last.
When it comes to religion and politics, participate in both and take both seriously. I'm just grateful and glad that I get to live in these United States of America.
Amen.
Although it's not perfect, I'm glad that here in America you could have African Americans and Hispanics and women and men and Sunnis and Shias and Christians and former Catholics all sitting together on one panel with Sheikh Fayed on TV and discussing peacefully the issue of religion and politics. That's why I wouldn't want to live anywhere else in the world. May Allah continue to bless you and to guide your thoughts. May He guide your religion and your politics. May you serve God all the days of your life, and may you be rewarded in the end. God
Thank
bless
you very much, Judge Norman. Give all the panelists a round of applause, please. So in conclusion, brothers and sisters, panelists, you know what we have learned? And with all the different high talk and high level comments, differences of opinion, Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, Jesus, peace be upon him, Moses, peace be upon him, Solomon, peace be upon him, Abraham, peace be upon them all. They were men of God, but they were also men of humanity. They were also the men of community. They were also the men of society. They were also men who made things happen in humanity. Until today, we learn from their examples and teachings. And that's what we hope to achieve from the differences of opinion we have heard here today. That we can be people of God and still be politicians and still be community leaders, still be people in society, in whatever political level. We have that flexibility and opportunity. And we need to open our minds to that. I want to thank all our community leaders. In the very beginning, they all went down in details with their background, and they have a long, lengthy, intellectual, wonderful background. May Allah bless you all. God bless you for taking this Sunday off, the beginning of your wonderful holidays. Even a lot of people were telling me, why do it? This is a holiday weekend, holiday weekend. I said, people who want to come and people who want to learn and they're around, they will make it their duty to be here. We just got to do what we have to do in life, and things will get done. I want to thank all our panelists, our audience, all you brothers and sisters who have come here. There were a lot of people who came to the brunch, had to go to other things, couldn't make it. We got a lot of viewers on TV, on Facebook, on YouTube. I want to let you know, anyone who would like to get a copy of this, we'll have it edited. We have a wonderful crew. We'll get it sent out to you on video, YouTube, whatever is the mechanism. You can send it to your friends. It's a very educational, honest talk here. This is not fake talk and not fake news. It's real talk from the hearts of our people, intelligent people. May Allah really bless our panelists again, our TV crew. And I have to mention Salma and Faria. They did a lot of work in the last few days. Give them a round of applause, please. Everybody, the crew, the audience, yourself, the panelists, everybody, you know, this has been wonderful. I was out of town for the past 10 days, but the girls in the office made it happen. And we just walked into this. So that's the kind of staff we have and the people we have at Darul Uloom and Al Hikmat to make this going. And Darul Uloom is a very open-minded place. That's our thought. I traveled throughout America, Canada. I just came back from Vancouver. I've seen different places, and sad to say there's still a lot of people who live in a little world of their own, even in America and Canada and North America. But we try to think out of the box. And this place is open for politicians. We welcome Obama and Trump together. I would love to see them both here and talk to them. My dreams go all beyond the skies. And we want to get the message out to the world and want everyone to be part of that. And we thank you again. We will have another discussion on another interesting topic, uninteresting topics, and have you come back again. Thank you all very much. Assalamu alaikum. You've been a wonderful... Yes, Brother Azad. Oh, Brother... Brother Azad, as usual, we got to maintain the place, keep Al Hikmat going. Feel free, whatever you can do to support. Thank you very much, our viewers worldwide, and all you brothers and sisters. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. Wa la aqibatu illa muttaqeen. Wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulihi wa ala alihi wa ashabihi ajma'in. Thank you, sister. Really appreciate it.